Hello there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about three films that have been released recently. Creation of the Gods 2, which has been out in America, and then China, it's a Chinese film. There's Honey Don't, which has been released all over, and The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which was released a few years ago, but I've just got around to seeing it through Amazon Prime. So I thought these three films were worth talking about, but I didn't think any of them were... I could do a full video on them. Like, I didn't really have enough to say about any of them, but I enjoyed them all in different ways. The strongest of them for me was Creation of the Gods 2, which built and was a very good, enjoyable film, ultimately. It is made by China, and obviously the Chinese government and stuff, it's probably in some ways propaganda in some way, but they're well made films. They really are. The first one was enjoyable. The second one's better, actually. The second one actually delivers more on the human scale. And it is a bit the Chinese myths, which I like the Chinese myths. And I like a lot of the Asian myths, so it was quite enjoyable to watch all of this stuff play out. So it's based on an epic Chinese mythological novel. And it's been split into three films, just a Lord of the Rings, where you can't really... Each section has a middle, beginning, and end, and so you get each one escalates from a smaller situation in the first film. The second one's much bigger, and the third one's going to be epic. So it's that kind of trilogy. And they actually had Barry Osborne, who was the producer on The Lord of the Rings, to come in to help them out, to help them to understand how to do this kind of film with effects and everything else. They shot it at The Lord of the Rings. They shot everything in one epic shoot. They shot all the live action like at the same time. So they shot 1, 2 and 3, and then they started editing the films, and then they'd be working the effects. Looked at the effects of the first one, which has a lot less effects than the second one. So it was like the first one was simply put out. The first one made a lot of money. Second one didn't make as much, but even though it's a stronger film, which suggests maybe the first one made a lot of money, but maybe everyone went to see it, but maybe not everyone loved it. Because the first one takes a while to go, and the first one has a lot of politics, while the second one is a much more streamlined adventure movie. And I think I've covered the first one before. The second one, this second story, is following on, and basically we've established there's this king who is trying to attain godhood, and he's got supernatural assistance to extend his life, and he's trying to be the leader of all the lands, using lots of supernatural stuff. He's betraying all his friends, all his close friends from the past. He's destroying the legacy of his father and his brother. He's turning people father versus son just to keep his own power. And eventually, over the first film, his son realised what his father was doing, and he was evil. And another person who was in the court, who was the son of the king of another region that basically had vowed allegiance to the Chinese Empire. He started to see this problem as well. So at the end of the first film, he'd escaped, and his son had been killed. So in the second film, essentially, the son that was killed has been reborn as a kind of god creature that's taken the powers of the gods themselves and returned to Earth to try and stop his father. Meanwhile, the son of the king from one of the other districts, he's escaped back to his home. His father is dead, his brother is dead, and he has to bring together all his people and prepare them for a fight that's going to come. And it's basically the film is pretty much about that fight. You get some subplots, but essentially it's about the fight. From the first minute, they're bringing armies together to go and attack this district in this massive city that's far away near the mountains, and that's what they're going to do. And so early part of the film is them travelling, but they reach the district pretty much within the first 20 minutes of the film, and it's a 2 hour 20 film. So There's a lot in this district, lots of fighting. But it's all well done, it's all character motivated. You have a relationship between the leader of the soldiers, this woman who has vowed on her father's reputation to kill this guy who has rebelled and to put the people under subjugation of the king, and her and the guy she's trying to kill start fighting from the off and end up getting separated from the people. They're still fighting each other as individuals, and then they break apart and escape from each other. Then they're forced together again later on, where she starts to find out that he's not exactly what he said he was, and that she might be fighting the wrong side. Now, this could be a cliche, but it's done really well because she never fully loses the kind of predatory nature of what she's doing. She still is a fighter who wishes to win at all costs. But the more she goes on, the more she sees there's a problem here. Like, she might be on the wrong side. So there's that story that works really well. You have the story of the king trying to... This new king of this area trying to bring together all his people and develop a plan to actually defend them against both like a large army and supernatural creatures who are going to try and kill them. He's got help with people who have some supernatural abilities as well to come from the gods, as well as the son of the corrupt king coming down at a certain point in the film and helping them. So it evens up the odds, but each side has their own strengths and weaknesses, and they're always very clearly stated. So one side does one thing, the other side can counter it. So there's always a sense of tactics involved, and it's not easy for either side to do what they're doing, which keeps the narrative always flowing. And the action scenes are really well done. There's a big jump up from the first film to the second film. The action scenes, they are more epic, but they're also clear and precise, and it's like, this is what we're doing here, this is how the other team reacts, and this is what happens here. And it's all very clearly stated. These are the limitations of these characters, these are their strengths. You know exactly what people are doing, and then they find ways around that to put people in peril and make you wonder how they're going to get out of this. And so they make it difficult for the characters throughout the film, especially by the time you get to the ending, where you've been 2 hours into this story at this point, and everything looks really bleak, and they've built it up so well that it feels legitimately bleak, and they pay everything off. And then there's basically a setup for the final film in the trilogy that makes you want to see the final film. It's just really well done. This is how you build a blockbuster. This is how you do it. Like China's done this with this film, and he's done it with Wandering Earth films, which are also fun. Wandering Earth films are ridiculous. This one's a lot saner. But they've actually started to look at the American blockbuster model and seeing, like, we can do this. There's certain things you do, certain things you don't do. So they have sort of studied the model. And Creation of the Gods 2, highly recommended. Go watch it. It's really well done. As you probably see, I was trying to avoid giving spoilers beyond what you'd get in a trailer. Which is what I try to do nowadays. Is like, this stuff you get in a trailer, what I've been saying. And also the counter thing of, that's what you expect to film this. I'm just saying, they do it really well. But if you like epics, this is a really good one. And it's also got mythology you might not know very well, compared to a lot of films we've seen recently from America. It's a franchise and you know every little beat before it gets there. This one has some more surprises. The acting's fun. You like the characters. The villain is a horrible villain, and his sidekicks are horrible villains. And even though this horrible villain, they actually give him limitations too. So, and also by the end of it, they built up the threat for the new villain for the third film very simply. So it's like, okay, that's an actual threat. This could get out of control pretty quick. So yeah, highly recommended. Now we go to Honey Don't, which is the new film from Ethan Coen with Trisha Cook, which is a follow-up to Drive Away Dolls, which it's not a follow-up in the characters, it's like a follow-up, the same people involved, like the same star, the same writer-director, a lot of the same production crew. It's another film with a lesbian lead played by Margaret Qualley, and she's a detective who's investigating various things. She's investigating someone who was coming to her for help and who died before she got there. She tried to deal with her niece, who's been a bit of a problem. She's also into romance with Aubrey Plaza's character, and it's basically as if you know like Ethan Coen and the Coen Brothers stuff. He likes to have plots that wander, and eventually they come together. So everything comes together. There's also a plot with Chris Evans as a guy who's, you know, this man of the cloth who's pretty corrupt. He uses the idea of a church as a cover for all his sins, and Evans is having a lot of fun playing this guy who's just a total scumbag. You've got various other character actors doing different things throughout the film that pop up. Everyone's having fun with the little moment. Like Ethan Coen's very good at little moment things, giving actors little bits to do that give you a lot of character, even if they only have a few scenes. Aubrey Plaza has fun playing the object of affection who has her own, you know, problems. Margaret Qualley's fun as the lead. But it's just one of those films that's very bitty. It's like, it's enjoyable, but there's like, it could have been tightened slightly. Not much. It's meant to be a slight film, and it's either there's something that could have been in that would have made it all come together more, or something should have been gone, but it feels like it's a little bit unbalanced. But while still being an enjoyable film, but it does feel a bit slight. Even for something that's slightly like Coen Brothers, Big Lebowski, it felt like a few more things going on in it that actually helped balance it out. This one, it feels much more like there's a lot going on, but either you lose something and use and focus more on what you've got, or you add a few more elements to it. It just felt like there was kind of a balance issue. But that's not a problem though for me, because the film was still enjoyable. I mean, overall I liked it more than Drive Away Dolls, even though I think Drive Away Dolls had a interest in romance in the centre this film doesn't have. This film is almost like anti-romance, or the dark side of romance. That film had a more effective romance at the centre of it. This one doesn't. But it also feels much more cohesive and doesn't have as many lame jokes. The Drive Away Dolls had some lame jokes in it, and this one doesn't really have that. It actually has like the jokes that are kind of obvious are meant to be obvious so the character can react to them. They're not meant to be, you're not meant to think they're clever. And generally the characters do feel like they've been worked out well. It's just that the plot is just kind of there and doesn't develop in ways that are, you know, always that interesting. I mean, when it all comes together, you find out whatever it means. It's fine, but also getting there, it just feels it's wandering a lot. And I know that helps the film, but it does mean I think it's rewatchable. I think it would be rewatchable. But just in the first viewing, sometimes you feel like it just tended to wander a bit too much. But I still liked it. I think I liked it more than most people did. It got a bad reaction. I don't quite get it. It's like, yeah, it's not a perfect film, but it's still enjoyable, still entertaining. But I feel I'm the minority in this one. So finally, we have The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which Jim Cummings' film. He did Thunder Road, the beta test, neither of which I've seen so far. This is the first time I've seen his film as a director, and it's a werewolf movie, kind of. Is there a werewolf? That kind of movie is. There's people being killed and no one's quite sure. Is it a person killing it or is it a wolf? And everyone's like, that's stupid. A wolf, you can't do a werewolf. And then they're trying to figure out what a werewolf is. But that's not what it's about. It's about this guy he's a deputy sheriff. His father's a sheriff. And his father has to retire, and it's him trying to deal with the fact that his dad has to retire and he can't get him to retire. And also, and it's played by Robert Forster in one of his final parts. It's also the story about him trying to deal with his daughter who's ready to move out. And he's dealing with his ex-wife who blames him for everything. And he's a guy who's all stressed out and doesn't always react properly to things. He's trying his best, but he's a bit insane, and people know that. He's a recovering alcoholic who doesn't realise he's relapsing. So it's a story about someone who's making lots of bad decisions in a job where lots of people are dying, and he can't be making those bad decisions right now. He has to be better than that, and he's failing completely. And that's what makes it interesting, is the sense of this is a guy you're starting to see just fall away and say awkward things and do awkward things, and you also have him dealing with really awkward people who are also very flawed. But you've also got some murder scenes that are actually well done that make it look like it's a actual werewolf, but it's like, is it or is it not? And the resolution's enjoyable. How it all comes together is enjoyable, and what it's all about is enjoyable. But it is meant to be. It's sort of like Honey Don't. It says it's meant to be a slight film. It's not. It's trying to have a genre film, but actually make it more character based than action based, because it's a low budget film and they don't have time to do amazing special effects throughout. They just have time for certain bits of suspense and action. But mostly it's about character stuff. It's mostly about talking and how people react and what people's flaws are. And that's where it works better, ultimately. But it will take you a while to get used to, because you weren't expecting a straightforward werewolf movie. It's not that. It's much more interesting than that. And it does all come together at the end, but you might feel some frustrations in the wind up to it, because it's not really following certain rules of a genre intentionally, and it will irritate some people. But I find it really satisfying once I get into it. You just have to work out what the rules of the film are as you're watching it. That's the main thing, and just be open to the fact that it's going to go off to the side to this character who doesn't know how to behave, doesn't know how to deal with people, and says the wrong things, and then he's dealing with other cops that are even worse than him, who are pretty much incompetent, who are in no way up to the task of dealing with murders. They're up to dealing with basic infractions of the rules in the town, that's it. But they've been left, there's these murders to take place to deal with, and they have a police department that really doesn't have the expertise to do it. But they pull through in a kind of weird set of situations. That's all I'm going to say. But it is definitely what I've seen about this film. I'm really trying not to give too much away. I'm really, really trying. Just go see the film. It's enjoyable. It's really enjoyable. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been trying my best to avoid giving too much away in any of them, which can be a bit frustrating. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all later. Right, bye for now.